And this is the kind of crap that my trolls do. To fuck with me because they're jealous of my dark powers.
Fuck yourself, loser! Go home, you're drunk!
In episode 194 of this program, we will be continuing our theme of examining the work of bands that you've probably heard of, but you might not have actually listened to. I'm sure most people probably know the name of the band Demoncy.
아니 원스 여러분들이
See, she knows them, and you probably heard of them just because they are one of the oldest American black metal bands. From back when American black metal was something that was looked down upon by the rest of the world, even though there was a decent chunk of really fucking good bands. I guess people are just a bunch of nerds when it comes to that kind of thing. Luckily, there was a short period where American black metal did, in fact, gain some goodwill around the world until all these Wolves in the Throne Room clones and like the Black Gaze and Brooklyn Vegan shit came out, ruined it again for everybody.
Fucking quiz!
Thank fuck for bands like Negative Plane keeping it real. That's neither here nor there. We're talking about Demoncy this week. The band Demoncy. To call Demoncy a band is a bit of a misnomer. There have been multiple people in the band at several points, but usually it's just a solo project of this one guy named Ixithra, who kind of got his start in the metal realm by being a member of Profanatica, but he only played on one album, their first album that no one has ever heard because the bassist, Aragon Amarai, destroyed all the tapes for it for some unknown reason. I can't imagine why. He looks like such a well-adjusted individual.
Sodomize the holy asshole!
아니 촬영 같은 거 하다 보면은
Yeah, alright, maybe not. But one good thing that came out of that debacle was that Ixithra said, fuck this, I'm gonna go do my own black metal thing with blackjack and hookers. In fact, forget the hookers and the blackjack, because I'm just gonna like commit to my Demoncy project full time, which already existed, I think actually maybe even before Profanatica. And he put out this this demo that's basically an album. He's on that Nocturnal Mortem release schedule where before your first album, you put out 2 demos that are basically like album length. He put out this thing called Faustian Dawn.
That is hot stuff.
In like 1992, so very early American black metal, literally the same year as like Burzum and Dark Throne and Immortal and all that shit. And it's good stuff. Faustian Dawn is notable for being perhaps the only Demoncy album where he sounds like other bands. In this case, you can hear a lot of Profanatica here, where it's basically death metal riffs that have just kind of been blackened up, much in the same way that Dark Throne did on A Blaze in the Northern Sky, just with a different kind of black metal. And that other kind of black metal, of course, being Beharit. Where this album really shines is during these slow parts here. And this is kind of the beginning of the more original Demoncy stuff. Again, this is roughly comparable to Profanatica, but it has a certain darkness and atmosphere to it that Profanatica, while they also had that, not quite as much as this band. And once again, yeah, Beharit with the fucking vocals there. Total kind of like wacky Beharit, layered, pitch shifty vocals. It's actually the last time he did that too. This is definitely sort of like the beginning of Demoncy. There's lots of going back and forth between fast parts and slow parts back into fast parts. These fucking vocals are so silly. If you hate these vocals, don't worry, they go away pretty much after this album. But yeah, the slow riffs, that's where it's at. The slow riffs on this are dank. The fast ones do have a nice sort of atmosphere to them, but the slow parts, you can tell this was kind of his forte. He's just like really crushing slow riffs. Going back into the fast bits, and a full stop. And here we go, this little outro riff right here, that is where Demoncy is going to end up going, into that more epic direction. So I do like Faustian Dawn, I think it's worth listening to. But during my research for this episode, like I've owned Faustian Dawn and the other demo that we're about to get into on like a 2 CD thing for shit going on like 15 years or something, Christ. But I've had those for a while, and I didn't know too much about them. I went on Metal Archives, and I found the most bizarre fucking review of Faustian Dawn. It's by some guy named Goat Doom Occult Delta. And it features two of the most bizarre statements I've ever read about a black metal demo. The first one being, "The music itself is in a fashion very dissimilar to modern black metal, very slow-paced for the most part, and oddly reminiscent of early 80s Black Sabbath."
그러니까 엄마 아빠가 그거를 해주면 이게 하드렌즈니까.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. That's a hot take. That's like something I would say, and people would be like, "What the fuck are you talking about, Joe?" But at least I would have like something to back that up. He just like leaves that out there, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of digging here. Well, here's early Demoncy. It's the slow part on Faustian Dawn. Supposedly this sounds like 80s Black Sabbath with like Theo on it and shit. What the hell did 80s Sabbath sound like again? Not really hearing it. Maybe go back to some Demoncy? Well, they both have drums and guitars. Got that going. I guess they're similar in that respect. 80s Sabbath? This riff fucking rocks. I just wanted to play it. Yeah, Sabbath? Yeah, I'm not fucking hearing it, dude. You're gonna have to give me a little bit more to work with than that. No. But the really fucking hot, abysmal, actually, I guess cold takes are bad, right? We don't like the cold
아니
ones.
촬영 같은 거 하다 보면은
The cold take was that this was the only good Demoncy album and everything after it sucks, which I could not disagree with more. In fact, the second Demoncy demo, or rather, there's a whole bunch of like little mini rehearsals and shit. You might even consider it like the second Demoncy album if you look at Faustian Dawn as the first. The second one, within the Sylvan realms of Frost. This is the moment where Demoncy dropped all those elements where they sounded like other bands a whole lot and turned into something completely unique and also very ahead of its time, especially for American black metal. It probably would not surprise you to hear that Ixithra, the main guy behind Demoncy, has a whole bunch of like neoclassical dark wave and dungeon synthy type projects, because his synth intros are much better than what you usually hear in a black metal band. But the main meat of this release are these very long and winding melodic riffs, which are highly unusual for the time, especially considering that this song was composed in like 1993. This is almost sort of like an American answer to Transylvanian Hunger with these very, very long-form melodic tremolo riffs over very simplistic drum beats. Also, these weird bendy bits right here. These are utterly unique to Demoncy, and they are very foreboding sounding. This is definitely a good Halloween album for Normally you wouldn't associate the word melodicism with Demoncy, but honestly, especially on this album, it's kind of the main point. These just really good melodic riffs. Like, this could almost be an Emperor riff if it wasn't so dark and dissonant. So, through the Sylvan Realms of Frost, highly recommend this album. It might actually be my go-to Demoncy album. Either that one or the one we're about to get to, which is, in fact, the first official Demoncy full-length, Joined in Darkness. Now, this is interesting because he had these like two demos of styles to draw from, and he kind of went back to the first demo, but utilized some of the aesthetic innovations of the second one. The slow bits, which weren't a huge part of Through the Sylvan Realms of Frost, are back with a vengeance, and it's really helped by this new nasty guitar tone and also his trademark whispery screams, which first showed up in that second demo. But there's plenty of these atmospheric kind of tremolo-y riffs that still kind of hint at what was going on in that second demo, but the kinds of melodies they're playing are much more in line with the very like dissonant and nasty, almost vaguely death metal-ish bits that kind of define their first demo. So it's interesting, he sort of went backwards while still going forward. It's confusing. But Joined in Darkness is probably the place to start with Demoncy, and it would be my other go-to Demoncy album. It's not all just like kind of that slow push-pull between fast parts and doomy parts, though. There's plenty of songs that are just plain fast for the most part, but the melodies within those songs are much more akin to the more death metal-y kind of stuff that he would do on the first demo. as opposed to the sweeping melodic bits you would hear on the second demo. That's what I mean when I say he took the aesthetics of that second demo and applied it to the songwriting style of the first one. I really like his vocals. They're super creepy. And they're very unique. He's not like a Beharit clone anymore. This is cool. Watch this. Now that is a nice black and doom metal or whatever the hell you want to call it riff. And Joined in Darkness is pretty much universally recognized as one of the most important American black metal albums. And now we get into some more controversy. So you remember how I said the first Demoncy full length was kind of more based off of the sound he had on his first demo? The second Demoncy full length, Empire of the Fallen Angel, is much more stylistically akin to the second demo within the Sylvan Realms of Frost, in that it is like highly melodic and atmospheric as opposed to just like very dissonant and dark and strange. And as far as I can tell, literally everybody hates this album, and I think
This is big mistake.
this album is the first and only thing he ever did with a full band, and I think sort of the commercial failure of it really fucked with him. And it's a damn shame because this is a really good album. It's funny because a lot of people will say, this isn't real Demoncy, and all that tells me is they're not real Demoncy fans because they don't understand the pattern that's going on here. The first Demoncy full length is a reimagining of the music on the first Demoncy demo. The second Demoncy full length is a reimagining of the style on the second Demoncy demo. The melodic phrases aren't quite as lengthy. They're a bit more compact, and that makes for a more frenzied feel. And apparently people didn't like this. I really don't get it. As far as I can tell, okay, look, I love Nuclear War Now. A lot of that record label's stans. Can I call them stans?
아니 원스 여러분들이
Yeah, they shit their pants anytime anything vaguely Scandinavian happens, and it's very irritating. I think that might have been what was happening with that review of Faustian Dawn with all the weird statements. But luckily for them, Ixithra saw fit to actually re-record this album in a style more similar to Joined in Darkness. So it's the same riffs and the same songs and everything, but it's got that super dark production, and it's back to being a one-man band. So hopefully this fixed things up for people. And I do think this may in fact be the definitive version of this album. It's called Empire of the Fallen Angel, Eternal Black Dominion. It's actually the most recent Demoncy album with this re-recording. And yeah, no, it's the same songs. It just has like this deeper production, and that seemed to have gotten everybody off the back of Ixithra yelling at him. But this also was a bit of a trolley album because he's like, all right, you didn't like that album, fine. I'm gonna record it again in a style that sounds more like what you're used to, you fucking babies. I'm gonna pull a fast one on you and write a whole bunch of new songs in the style of that album you hated so much and put them in as not even really bonus tracks. He kind of rearranged the track listing and slotted in all these new songs. And guess what, nerds? They're fucking great. The frenzied melodic style really works for this one because the melody's almost like collapsing in on itself. This weird sort of like looping arpeggio that kind of stretches over the measure. Very interesting. This is downright medieval sounding, almost kind of Gravelandy with that slightly jaunty percussion. So yeah, I mean, I saw no problem with the second Demoncy album, but the re-recording is cool because it's like, hey, do you like that? Here's some more of it. Downright triumphant sounding, very far removed from like the explicitly satanic and grimy kind of shit you heard on the debut demo. Which I think is why a lot of people probably didn't cotton to this album if they were expecting something that sounded more like Profanatica. He's really big on these kind of like full stops leading into new tremolo riffs. And like I said, his vocals, far from the sort of like weird pitch-shifted Beharit or blasphemy-influenced yowlings of early material. Instead, he's got these like cool whispery shrieks that are definitely the trademark of Demoncy. So that was Fallen Angel, Eternal Black Dominion. But in between Empire of the Fallen Angel and then its re-recording, he kind of had what a lot of people consider to be the Return to Form album. Now, it's not that for me because I fucking loved Empire of the Fallen Angel, and everybody that hates it is a nerd.
It pisses me off!
But it is very good. It's called Enthroned is the Night. It is undoubtedly the most death metal sounding of all Demoncy material, even compared to the early demos. Like the slow parts right here, this almost reminds me of something you might hear on the first Therian album. Very like nasty, kind of doomy, death metal-y type stuff. And And then when it gets to the fast parts, it still sounds very death metal-y. Like, honestly, this riff right here, if you would have played a little bit differently and not have, like, the black metal aesthetics and vocals attached to it, I could see this happening on, like, an early Immolation album. Not that that's a bad thing. I love early Immolation. Also, this one has a lot of these cool, like, layered parts that weren't really part of Demoncy outside of the Sylvan Realms of Frost demo. This is a cool little, like, frenzied kind of building up and crashing type melody cycle. So it makes sense that, yes, this album was very well received, and it is a great album. I just wish that everybody hadn't been such a bud about Empire of the Fallen Angel. That was great. All Demoncy is great. Don't listen to that one nerd saying that, like, only the first demo is good. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? And you should go and listen to all of it for yourself. It's definitely good, you know. I'm not gonna say it.
안 골라 이건. 포기. 패스.
No, I'm not gonna say it.
아 이거는 못 고르지.
Alright, it's good music for Spooky Jesus! And hopefully everybody has a good one of those. See you next time.
God damn it! Broke my fucking cigarette!